Hi, welcome to Mrs. Calabash Cooks. This is fantastic. It's our first show. We might have a little problem with people writing in comments. I might not be able to answer them straight away, but I will answer after the show. We have a few gremlins in the works. But please, welcome to my kitchen. And I'm Maggie, so this is Mrs. Calabash. Come on in and enjoy the food. Now this evening I'm making pork tenderloin in pepper sauce and also green beans with coconuts in coconut as a side dish. So first of all, let me wash my hands and then we'll get started. There we are. And for this dish I've got a tenderloin of pork, and I've had the pork out for about half an hour in room temperature. There we are. I worked with a Scottish chef, and he was with one of the embassies, and I was assisting him with a class one night, and he was so cross because I didn't get the meat out to come to room temperature. And I said, why? And apparently if it comes to temperature, take it out the fridge, bring it to room temperature, it's a lot more tender. So when you have a tenderloin of pork, you will notice that it has fat and sinew. So we need to take that away. And you'll notice I'm using a board. I normally use a wooden board, but I've now got a plastic board so that this can go in the dishwasher and it can be sterilized. And then there's no fear of salmonella. Now I have a very sharp pointy knife, and I just go into the sinew like that, cut it down, and with a good knife you can get most of the sinew away without wasting a lot of the meat. So let's just pull it up like that. I've just got a little bit in there that I want to get out. We want to leave a little bit of the marbling. It makes the meat a lot more tender. Let's just have a look. That's not too bad. There's a little bit, can you see? A little bit in there. So let's see if we can get that out. So just get the point of the knife underneath. Now if you don't like the feel of meat, you can always wear a pair of gloves, disposable gloves, to do this. Or just put some paper over your hands. And we're going to cut across the grain like that. Just make sure that you have actually cut through. There we are. So now all this is going away and it will go in the dishwasher. Now never put a knife in the sink. Always put it at the back there. I was teaching one night and my assistant, there was two assistants, we had a bowl of soapy water and she put a knife in the sink. My second assistant ended up in hospital because she cut her hand. So always just put the knives at the back. Now this, I have a recipe sheet here. This is how I was taught at culinary school, and you'll notice there's a tick by each one. So as I've done the prep, I've ticked off, so because I've got a mind like a sieve, I can forget something. And so now, let's pull this towards me. For the sauce, we've got in here, we've got root ginger, peppers, jalapeno peppers, garlic, and we're going to grind this down to make a paste. There we are. And also, we need 1/4 pint of white wine. Now, if you don't want to use wine, use apple juice. There we are. That is a nice wine. And this wine is a local wine, and it's by Smokie Ridge, and from Merrickville, which is in Eastern Ontario, and we're by the Rideau, and this is all within half an hour away. So, and it's a nice smoked Chardonnay. And the nice thing is that because it's a cold grape, I'm a diabetic, so I have to be very careful with wine, and this is a 0 sugar. So it's a great excuse, I can drink it. So we need 1/4 pint, just let me check and make sure. Yes, 1/4 pint, that's 2 fluid ounces. Listen to that, that's good. Now, always when you're checking with a measure, just go down like that and get it on eye level, because if you're looking down like that, you're going to put too much in. So there we are. There's the wine in there, and we need a splash, only a smash of hot sauce. And this is Haico's sauce. Again, it's local. And both Smokie and Haico, 15% of the sale goes towards the forces. So I'm just going to put, this is quite hot. We can always adjust later, but we can't take it away. So a little splodge of hot sauce in there. And just let me make sure that I've got everything in. No, I haven't. We need the turmeric, and I'm using cumin today rather than cardamon. Either cumin or cardamon go very, very well with pork. And I'll put just a little salt in there. I've got sea salt and ground pepper in here. That's a little black pepper. Some sea salt. We can add to this later, but we can't take it away. So, excuse me, the blender's going to go. There we are. We need a rough paste, so that's nice. Look how colourful it is. I'm just going to take the blender, the food processor, off the table. Let me unplug it. It'll give me a little bit more space. Now, my philosophy on cooking is I like to get a meal ready with the prep and the cooking within an hour from start to finish. I trained in haute cuisine, and I do know what it's like to spend all day in the kitchen and have a meal at the end. And you get to the table, you think, oh my God, I can't eat, I'm so tired. And people don't have time these days. Everybody's in a hurry. We've all got jobs to do, we're going out, we've got hobbies. And so this is, my philosophy is, it has to be reasonably priced, good to get ready, nutritious, and good to eat. So I'm now going to heat. I've got some butter here. I'm going to put this in the skillet. Let's just put that over there. there. Let's just heat the butter. Now the front burner on this stove is the most powerful burner, and so we'll start off there and then we can always move it towards the back. Now, compared to the old days, my grandfather was a farmer, and pork had to be really, really well cooked, because you fed the pigs meal, whatever was available, the pigs had it. Now you don't have to do that, because the pig food is so regulated, it's pure. So actually you don't have to cook the pork as well as, you can have it slightly pink on the inside, and that's a lot juicier. So let's just put the pork into the pan. I'm going to wash my hands again because I've touched the meat. When I'm teaching the children, I always say you can't wash your hands too many times. I don't care how many times you want to wash your hands, go. There we are. So this is cooking nicely. We need to brown the meat. Just turn it over like this. Don't overcrowd your pan. If needs be, if you've only got a small pan, do it in 2 pieces. Let's just turn down the heat a little bit. Come on, turn over. There we are. Just going to have there we are. So that now this is cooking nicely, and I'm going to transfer it over to the other side of the stove so that it can cook. There we are. I don't want it to burn, so we'll cook it slowly. Now, when you're in the kitchen, you don't just do one dish at a time. So I'm going to do the accompaniment to the tenderloin of pork, and this is an unusual dish. It's green beans with coconut, and this is a nice light accompaniment. And I'm going to actually tonight, I did say serve over rice, but tonight I'm going to do noodles, because we do have somebody here that doesn't eat rice, who should be nameless. So, pandering to a spoilt brat. So here we are. We've got onions, butter, beans. These, I didn't cut the beans in half like the recipe said, because they're really nice and fresh. Listen how crisp they are. And again, I've got my recipe. And in the recipe, because I normally use a coconut, a fresh coconut, so I normally put it in the food processor, but I couldn't find a decent coconut. We've not been lucky with coconuts just lately. They were either underripe, and we opened one up and it was mouldy. So rather than risk a coconut, I got very, very fine coconut and I added water to it, and so we've made a coconut paste. And we've got the beans. Now in here we've got coriander, coriander, turmeric and ginger. There we are. There's the spices. And so now we need to we need just to cook the onion, and I just sliced it like that because today I wanted onion rings, it's a different texture rather than the chopped onion. So let's have a go with this. So this is one of my true and trusted pans. It must be nearly 50 years old, and it's followed me around the world. I like cooking with the cast iron. You have the heat. It's a nice even heat. So we put the butter in the pan. Let that just melt. Keep an eye on your pork. It needs turning. It's almost ready. It doesn't take long. There we go, like that. Now, once that's cooked, I want to keep it warm. So I'm just going to turn my little toasty oven on. It's on warm, and that will keep, there we are, and that will keep my pork nice and warm. Now look, we've already, the margarine, butter. If you're on a low cholesterol diet, you might have to use a margarine rather than butter. I like butter. It gives a unique flavour. And one of the tricks of the trade is to put a little oil in with the butter, and that will stop the butter from burning. And I always keep oil here like this, and this is grapeseed oil. I like grapeseed oil for cooking. You can bring it up to a higher temperature than you can with an olive oil. There we go. You see, it's getting a little bit brown on the edge. And that's okay. So we want to cook the onions until they go transparent. I need my recipe just to make sure that I put everything in together. And I'm going to add my spices like that. I want to make sure that the onion is coated with the spices, and you can smell the spices. The spices will always taste better if they've been sautéed. Don't be tempted just to put the spices in at the last minute. They need the oils to come out, and you get a lot better flavour. The onions look as though they're almost ready. And now I'm going to add the beans. I'm going to turn down the heat and just coat the beans in all that beautiful spicy mixture. And now add the coconut. We might have to add just a little water to this. And we'll add a little salt and pepper. And you see I'm coating, can you see I've coated the beans in the coconut. Whoa, one's escaped. You don't want to waste it. There we are. Now I'm going to add just a little salt and pepper to that. And once they're cooked again, we'll adjust the seasoning. And this is sea salt. I like to keep the beans nice and crispy. And I'm going to just try that to see. The flavour is really good, but they need cooking a little bit longer. So what I'll do is I'll transfer to the back. And I'll put the top on, switch that one off. We'll just put the top on there and let that cook, and we'll just keep checking it. They've got a nice spicy flavour. You see the pork is getting brown, and I think that that is cooked. We'll just check to make sure. Again, let's choose a nice thick piece. Yes, that's nicely cooked. Can you see? There's no pink. Let's turn that off. Now I'm going to put that in there to keep warm. So we've got a container. I like a bit of crispiness to my meat on a dish like this. Otherwise it can be a little bit bland. But that's just personal. Now today I'm using pork. You could use chicken. It's beautiful with chicken. And it works very well with shrimp. So either use chicken or shrimp if you don't want to use pork. Or you could use tenderloin of beef. So now we've got the meat cooked and it's browned. The juices have all evaporated. I'm going to add a little more butter to that, not a lot, because I already cooked these onions previously. So let's just turn that up. A little butter in there, not a lot. And you see you've got all the nice flavours in here from the spices. Put the onions in there we want to reheat. So turn that down. Now, the recipe said red pepper, the red peppers. I'd already used all my red peppers, so you look to see what's in the fridge. I'd got yellow peppers, so we've got yellow peppers instead. And they've just been cut into strips. So these are going in with the onions. Deliberately, I'm not going to cook too long because I like the peppers to be a little bit crispy. There we are. Now you see, I've got a recipe sheet here that tells me what to do. There might be something in there that you don't like. There might be one of the spices that you don't like. You might not like turmeric. Well, leave it out. It does add to the flavour, but you can. It's not written in stone. This is just a guideline. And again, if you're using a shrimp, you might not want to make it quite so peppery and hot as if you're using pork, because it has a different flavour. So, you know, it's entirely up to you. So we're just going to do the peppers, and then we're going to put the pork back in, and we're going to put this rather gorgeous mixture over it. They're cooked. The pork goes back in. Any juice that's come out, put that in, stir it around. And we're going to add our rather nice peppery mixture. Now this is where I'm going to taste to see if we've got to add any more hot sauce, salt or pepper. So I have my tasting spoons here. I want some of that juice. No, it needs a, wow, that hot sauce is good. It's peppery. A really good hot sauce, that one. And it's smoky, which is nice. There we are. I'm going to put that on that back burner over there because I can turn that down low. Just put that over there, switch this one off. I'm going to put the lid on. I just want the peppers to cook, the nice ground mixture to cook. There we are. Let's just wipe up this mess. You'll probably notice I'm not the cleanest. I can get my aprons dirty before I've even started. So there we are. Let's have a look at the beans because they could well be cooked by now. I'm going to leave that. Oh, another one's escaped. I'm going to leave those on that's another one, on absolutely low, as low as I can get. There we are. And that will they will almost steam in there. Now, as I said, I'm going to put these over noodles rather than rice today. So I've got my wok. I'm always a little bit dubious about cooking noodles. If you cook them, they can really stick together. I was teaching one day and I was preparing the noodles and somebody came into the room and I forgot to rinse them. I'd cooked them, I forgot to rinse. I could have built a wall with it because the rice all sticks together. So if you cook them, always rinse them well with cold water, and then just put a little sesame oil over them, and they will still clog together, but when you reheat they separate. Now I'm doing this for a stir fry, and the instructions are on the back here. So I've had the noodles in water at room temperature, and so they're nice and soft. So I'm just going to put a little oil and maybe some soy sauce in there, and we're going to reheat the noodles. Now if you've ever watched them cooking in the Vietnamese, this is how they're done. I've got a really good friend, she's going to freak when she sees me doing this because she's Vietnamese, she's a Vietnamese chef, and her food is fantastic, and hopefully we're going to get her on the show at a later date. So let me just put these. I'm going to put a little oil in there. And we'll add a little, I think we'll add a little soy sauce to that. What did I do with my, there's some sesame oil, a little soy sauce. Now, if you've got a gluten intolerance, read on the back of the ingredients for the soy sauce, because most of it has wheat in it. This one does have a wheat in, but you can buy a soy sauce without wheat. Just a little soy sauce. Turn down the heat. And there's the noodles. Now I did notice the other day when I was having a Vietnamese meal, they were cooking it on the hot plate and they kept spraying it with water it was very hot, and they just kept spraying the noodles with water. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So we just need these to cook. They don't take long. Let's have a look at these. It should just be about cooked. We don't want all the sauce to disappear. So look, you can see how nicely coloured it is, and the juice that's come out from the vegetables and the meat. Let's just taste it. This is just an excuse, actually. Yes, that is cooked. So let's turn that off. It will stay warm. The beans will be cooked. And that's the nice thing with the cast iron, it keeps an even heat. They got a little bit brown. Let's turn that down. It's a little bit fierce, that heat. Yes, nicely cooked, but it needs a little bit of something added to it. So let's put some sesame oil on there. They've all joined together. And there we are. And we'll put a little salt and pepper. There we go. There's the pepper. A little salt. Mix it all in together. There we are. See what I mean about them joining together? There we are. So I like to cook a few of these at a time, and then we'll just get them all together when we eat. So let's collect our serving dishes. So first of all, the noodles go in. Noodles or rice. You can do it over spaghetti, but I just chose these noodles today. And then always have a board or a trivet to put your hot plates on. We want the juice to go into the noodles. A green pepper would look quite nice in this, actually. Let's put these back over here so you can see the colour like that. And now we have the beans. Just to add a little bit of colour, I'm going to put some beans around there. This dish is in spring is rather nice with asparagus when the spring asparagus is out, and you can cook the asparagus the same way with the coconut. So let's just add a little bit of greenery on the meat. Like that, and the rest can go in there, and that's going to be quite hot actually. Yes, so let's just move that to one side. They're very heavy, those pans. That's the only thing I have against them, but I really do like the way that they cook, so I put up with it. There we are. Let's put that back on the stove. We just clear, and to serve we have a nice plain plate because the food is going to speak for itself. So the noodles aren't going to want to come out. They never do. So let's do a serving. Ooh, look at that. Nice noodles in there. And some beans. And there you are. We'll just clean up the plate before you serve it. And that is a very simple dish. Very quick and easy to make. The longest part of this is the prep. Just cutting up the vegetables. And so that is pork tenderloin with coconut beans. And thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, please, I will answer them afterwards because, as I say, we do have gremlins in the works today. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week. And come into my kitchen. Bye.